Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is currently 3:32 a.m. on this wet and damp Wednesday evening going into Thursday morning. It is currently 41 degrees outside. It was warm most of the day today. I mean, not warm like 80, but it was, I think, 61 or 62 the majority of the day. I know I didn't have to have a coat on for the majority of the day. A, I got a lot of stuff done today. B, a lot of stuff done today. A, I got a lot of stuff done today. I can't speak. And B, I slept a lot today. Those are the two things. So it was kind of a perfect day because I got a lot accomplished that I wanted to get accomplished. And then on top of that, I also took not one but two naps, and it was really nice. So y'all know I was up early this morning for an appointment, and then I vlogged. I went to bed early last night, and then after I got done vlogging today, I went to go and try to get an appointment to fix my brakes. So my brakes have been whistling. It's so funny because I was talking to my friend Valerie tonight on the phone, and she was like, yeah, it's your back. She said, it's your driver's side back tire brake that's whistling. I said, how did you know? And she goes, I could hear it in the vlog. And I said, specifically that? She was like, yeah, I could hear it in the vlog. So, I don't know, Valerie probably needs to get a job at a auto garage because she was right. So first I called the dealership. Sometimes they, you can just like bring it in or whatever. The woman I talked to on the phone was so incredibly rude. She like answered the phone. She was like, service. And I was like, hi. I said, yeah, I think that I need to bring my brakes in. I possibly need new brake pads. I don't know, really what's going on. And she goes, December 12th. And I go, excuse me? We're booking out till December 12th. I mean, she was so gruff with me on the phone. I said, okay, I'll check back. Thank you. So then I went to Discount Tire because I thought that they did brakes, and they were super nice to me. And, they were like, no, we don't do brakes, but they sent me to an auto shop that they use. And so I went there, and the woman that was like, kind of like the office manager or whatever, she was so unbelievably nice and cool. And so I walked in, and I mean, she was manning like all these phone calls and doing all this kind of stuff, and she just was so cheerful and sweet and kind. And so anyway, so I told her what was going on, and she goes, well, let me come out and take a look at your car. She was like, but I have to tell you, we're kind of like booked out right now, so I don't know how soon we can get you in. And I said, I am getting the feeling everybody's booked out. And she was like, yeah, it's kind of around the holidays, it's always kind of crunch time. So she came out and she looked at my car, and she sat at the tires and the brakes. And she was like, from what I can see, she said, it's mostly your back left brake. And she said, your front two tires still have pads on them. And she said, and your back passenger side one is pretty worn down. She was like, so you do need to get them replaced? She was like, but let me have one of the mechanics come out and look at it while I'm scheduling an appointment with you. So we went inside, and she was like trying to like find a package or something to buy. She was like trying to like save me money. It was really cool. She was like, because she said, so you'll purchase like the materials before, and then they'll be waiting here like the day that you bring the car in, so we can do it instead of like you bringing the car in and then we have to order the parts. And I said, I totally understand, that's fine. So she was looking for all these different packages for me. She was like, sometimes they come in packages. And so then the mechanic guy came out, and he was probably like 5 or 10 years older than me. Super professional, very, very nice. I think he might have like owned the place or something. And he came out with like the mirror and like a flashlight, and he like actually showed me like on the brake, like he was like, this is what you're looking for. And he was like, can you see where it's worn down here? And he was like, versus like up here, this is where you still have pads. And I said, yeah. I said, I'm just worried about, I drive a lot. And he was like, well, he goes, you're good to drive. He said, for a couple weeks. He said, here's the thing. He said, we don't ever not replace the rotors. And he said, whenever we replace the pads, we always replace the rotors. And so he said, we're going to do it as like a package for you, and we'll find you a package that's cheap enough. And so he's like, I'm not telling you to, like, you know, drive like crazy. He was like, you're good for several weeks. So he was super, super nice. Because I always feel like such an idiot when I go into car places anyway, because I don't know anything about cars. I told them both that. She was just laughing. She was so sweet. And like when I walked in, she had this like Glade candle that was lit, and it was like this pine tree, like, and the whole place smelled like Christmas. And she had Christmas music on, and I said, it is so Christmassy in here. She goes, I'm so ready for Christmas. She was so funny. But like, she knew her way around a car too. It was like really cool. And she was like showing me all this stuff, and then, you know, she like scanned in the car and stuff. So anyway, they were super, super nice. I think they were like really worried about like what I would think of the cost and stuff, when in all honesty, what they quoted me and what I thought it would be was like, they quoted me like a fourth of what I thought it would be. I thought it would be like a lot, like, you know, I mean, it was expensive, but it wasn't like, anyway. So I'm taking the car in. You know, I honestly don't even remember the date. It's either like the 30th or the 2nd or something like that. So anyway, I have it written down. Oh, I have it right here. I also have my sponsor's funeral thing, or not funeral thing, but celebration of life thing right here. I wanted to save that too. So I got that done, and then I had kind of like assumed that I was gonna get the brakes fixed and I would just be like sitting someplace for 4 hours today. That's really what I thought was gonna happen, and I was kind of prepared for that. So then I was like, okay, well, now I'm done early for the day. So I went to Crumble Cookies and I did my review of Crumble Cookies for this week. And that was fun. And then I came home and it was like 11 o'clock. It was like still super early. Oh, no. I went and I did a rant video. I did a rant video. And then it was like 11:30 or something. I got home. Maybe it was around noon that time. I don't know. And I started uploading the vlog and the review and the rant video from my Peter Monn channel. And then I filmed a Peterisms video. And I filmed a Peter Does Stuff video showing like all the Christmas stuff that I had bought so far. Showing my red plaid tartan comforter and also the green and blue comforter. So I showed those, and do you know what's so funny to me? People can be so bitter sometimes. Like, I'm so excited about this comforter, right? Like, I'm literally in a video so excited about this comforter because it's gonna keep me real warm, you know, in the winter, and because it's Sherpa on one side and stuff. And I got this comforter, I got this comment, and this is just like, and I don't know, it was kind of like how the comment was written, but I just was kind of like, oh my God, like seriously, people could just like, this person was like, Sherpa's not very nice. Once you wash it a few times, it gets gross. I was like, can you just let me maybe be excited about this Christmas comforter for like 5 minutes? Like, just let me be excited about, just 5 minutes. Can I be just excited about this Christmas comforter? So anyway, Sherpa's not very nice. I was like, okay, well, now I know. But anyway, which was so funny then because I just like literally just read the comment before I was leaving the house. And we got this catalog. I don't know what the brand is called. Somebody out there will know. It's something in cobalt. And it's like all men's like outdoorsy kind of clothes. They have like They actually like sold a slingshot in there. I thought it was kind of bizarre. But they had like flannel shirts and boots. It's kind of very my style. It's cute, kind of. And, but like they had all these flannel shirts. I just got like rolling laughing in the kitchen looking at this stuff. Because they had all these flannel shirts that the inside of it was Sherpa. I was like, oh my gosh, I should buy one and send it to the person that commented on my video. But anyway, so I filmed those videos and I got those up. And then it was like 2 o'clock and I just was kind of like, at that point I was kind of starting to fade a little bit. Because I was like, oh my gosh. I got up early today and I've gotten so much stuff done and whatever. And so I left the lights up and I was going to, oh look at that, the tent. They are putting their Christmas trees up. My tent where I get my, you know, summer flowers and fall flowers, plants and stuff. They got like, it's like a Christmas tree tent now. Do you guys want to see it? Okay, well I'll take you over there so you can see it. But anyway, so the dogs were just kind of like relaxing and stuff. And I was like super tired and I was like, let's take a nap. So I kept on like trying to get into bed and then like people called and I was talking on the phone and stuff like that. And are they out here tonight? There's like a U-Haul. It's like the fall carnival came to town. I feel like they're out here working because there's like a truck. But look, you can see there's like, they got all the Christmas trees out there. And then down here, they have more. They have little Christmas trees. And more stuff over here. Can you even believe it? What's over here? More Christmas trees. All the wreaths. Do you know years ago, I don't know who wrote the story, but somebody will remember this. There's a black cat over here. It always runs in front of me. I know black cats are supposedly good luck, not bad luck, but it's like lives over here because I always see it over here and it freaks me out. But anyway, years ago, I want to look this up and tell you what it's called because I just took $20 out for my tip tomorrow for my hair. I get a haircut tomorrow. Okay, did you ever read the book by it was edited by Stephanie Perkins, and it was the anthology My True Love Gave to Thee, I think is what it's called. And then there was, that was the holiday one, and then there was a summer one, My True Love Gave to Me book. Okay. First of all, let me just tell you that the cover of this book is absolutely beautiful, okay? I don't know if I can pick up the, if it'll show the cover. Well, I don't, okay, it's not going to tell me what the stories are in here, but this is what the cover looks like. Do you guys see? The cover's beautiful. If you're looking for a good holiday book, this is fantastic. And it has stories by Holly Black, Allie Carter, Matt De La Pena, Gail Foreman, Jenny Hand, David Levithan, oh, I love him so much, Kelly Link, Myra McIntyre, Stephanie Perkins, Rainbow Rowell, Lainey Taylor, and Kirsten White. I mean, I have to believe that it's the Stephanie Perkins story in here. I wish it would break it down. Oh my lord. Then there was Crazy in Love recommended. Whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah, winter solstice or Kwanzaa, there's something here for everyone, so curl up by the fireplace and get cozy. You have 12 reasons this season to stay indoors and fall in love. Okay. But like, it doesn't break it down and tell you like which person wrote which story. And I wish that it did, because The Afterlife of Holly Chase, that was such a good book by Cynthia Hand. That was a great book. 12 Days of Dash and Lily. Have you read those books? The 12 Dates of Christmas. Maybe I'll read that book. Is that new? So anyway, there was... Hold on, I'm looking through these real quick to see. There's like all these young adult like Christmas books. Okay, Rainbow Route. Hers were called the Almost Midnight, and I feel like they were about New Year's Eve. Okay, but here's the thing. So Stephanie Perkins, I think she's the one that wrote it. She wrote this book, or this her part of. So each person like wrote a short story for this anthology. The summer one is great too. I think it's called Hope. Oh shit! Oh my lord! I never do that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now I have to look it up. Stephanie Perkins anthology. Because the summer one is really good too. Stephanie Perkins. It's pulling up Stephanie Powers from Heart to Heart. Stephanie Perkins Summer Anthology. Oh, it's called Summer Days and Summer Nights. And it's a really cute, well, you can't see it, but it's a really cute cover. And there's one in there about this movie theater that all, like, anyway, it's really good about these kids that work at this movie theater. And it's like their last night and then before college. And then they're all kind of like different. Like some are like supernatural and some are just kind of sweet. But anyway, Stephanie Perkins, I think, is the one that writes the story about the Christmas tree farm. And in the holiday one, she goes to this Christmas tree farm and she kind of like falls in love with this guy that works. His family, I think, owns a Christmas tree farm, if I remember correctly. And in the summer one, she's like gone to college or something, and then she wants to come back and see him, and he's very like lumberjack kind of guy. I don't know why, but like those two stories were like my favorites out of both anthologies. They were really, really good. Those Stephanie Perkins anthologies were really, really good. Because basically what she said is, here's the theme. Does you have to write a story about summer, or you have to write a story about the holiday season, and they did. And I think David Levithan's was about, I feel like his was about, maybe his was the New Year's one. I can't remember. The New Year's, no, it was Rainbow Rowell that wrote the New Year's one. I love, love, love Rainbow Rowell. She has a book coming out. I just pre-ordered it. She has a book coming out next month. It's like a novella, though. Like, all she writes anymore, I feel like, is that Simon Snow series, which I'm not real into that series. Speaking of another book I'm not real into, I'm so ready to be done with this true crime book. I was texting Mel today about it. We actually picked our book for December. You know, it's okay. I have to say, like, the more I get into it, the more interested I know this morning I just said I was not interested in it at all, and I give it a 3. I probably still would. I don't know, maybe 3.54. The thing is, it's like, his writing style is very interesting. I just feel like it is really kind of like, if you've read Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, it almost feels like it's written by the same person. It feels like he's trying so hard to be that, and the murder case is just like, I mean, it's very interesting at first, but it's kind of like, after you know everything that happens in the murder case, it's like the trial's really not that interesting, and even like, it's like they're at a party, right? And then somebody will say, well, I knew when he worked at Bar Q, and everybody's like, oh, gasp, right? And then they're like, yeah, and he used to go back into the room and do drugs. You don't say. I'm glad he's not around here anymore. And then the next 30 pages are about some house in Louisville that nobody would care about, that has nothing to do with the story whatsoever. And it's just, I don't know. It's not fully realized, I don't feel like. I think that it is way too long for the telling of this story. And I actually think that I think what happened was that he was very interested in talking about the crime as far as in the setting of Old Louisville, because Old Louisville is a part of the city, right? So I think he became fascinated with telling the story in context of Old Louisville. And I'm not really sure that's where I would have started with I don't know that that's... I think he thinks that's what's the interesting part, and that is kind of what pulls you in it, because he says at one point when he's trying to decide if he's going to write the book or not, he's like, Old Louisville, mystery, drag queens, you know, drugs, illicit sex. I mean, he goes on and says all this kind of stuff, and he's like, and then I thought, well, this is going to make a great book. And I'm like, but it really doesn't. See, like, that's the problem. I mean, like, yeah, but what if you got all of that on page 1? Okay, what do you do with the rest of the 400 pages? Do you know what I mean? Like, after that, it's just not super exciting. This beanbag is driving me crazy. I don't think it has anything to do with buying a new beanbag, though. I was looking at it the other day. I just think it has to do with how it sits. But anyway, I mean, once you've said all that information, like, there's no reveal. There's no further reveal. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no further information that comes out where you're like, oh my God, gasp, or this is so interesting, or anything like that. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know where I would start with it, honestly. I was when I was listening to it today, I was like, I think this is what I would have done with it. Because he starts by hanging his partner looking at this house, okay? And then he flashes forward to the day that the guys get arrested for... So, okay, they murdered him actually 6 months before. But there was a domestic dispute, and the neighbors called the police. The police come. What is that? Vegas, coming soon. Vegas Lounge and Bar. I've never even heard of that. So the police come, and when they search the house, they find this dead body in a tub in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. At one point, too, he references these 3 girls getting arrested for killing a fellow teenager. He kind of references a lot of other cases, which is interesting because the case he's talking about is from 1990. I think it's the case he's talking about, and it's the Shanda Shear case, and it took place in Madison, Indiana, and those girls are all out of prison now, which is unbelievable to me that they killed this girl, and she was like, I think 12 at the time that they killed her, and they like set her on fire and beat her and stuff like that. It was horrific. Aphrodite Jones, who used to be an FBI agent, she wrote a book called Cruel Sacrifice, and Cruel Sacrifice is about Aphrodite Jones, or is about the Shanda Shear case. And you can watch the videos with Dr. Phil, and he has Shanda Shear's mom and sister confronting the murderer because she's out of prison now. But that happened the year that I graduated from high school. That happened in 1990. And that was a big, big deal because they had gone to Louisville for the day, these 3 girls, and kind of concocted what they were going to do. And then they, if you want to read a really great true crime book, I would highly recommend Cruel Sacrifice. It's devastatingly sad, though. So what it was about was, it was 3 girls, I think it was 3 girls, maybe it was 4 girls, I don't know, 3 girls. And the main girl, I feel like her name was Belinda. So her ex-girlfriend started dating Shanda Shear. And then she was jealous because Shanda Shear was so pretty and stuff. Maybe Shanda was 15, I can't remember. I feel like she was 12 and the other girls were like 15 and this one girl was like 16 or 17. So she was jealous of her because she started dating her, her ex started dating her, her ex started like talking to her or something, I don't know. So they had gone to Louisville for the day, and she told these other girls, I think there was 2 or 3 of them, she was like, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get Shanda and then we're gonna scare her. And they're like, okay, and they went along with it. It's interesting because I watched this documentary about it not too long ago, and what they say happened and what happened in the book are 2 completely different things. or maybe that was the Dr. Phil documentary I was watching, because they said, oh, this one girl was like, well, I wasn't really there. Maybe they made it into a made-for-TV movie or something, I can't remember, but this one girl was like, she was back at the house and didn't know that it was going on, and I'm like, well, that's not what happened in the book, in court testimony. So anyway, so then they go to this girl's house, and they're like, hi, to her parents. Can you even imagine, with a 12-year-old? And they're like, hi, we just wanted to see if Shanda wanted to come out and hang out. And so Shanda comes out, and she gets in the car and drives around with them. And they scare her, and they put her in the trunk. And they bring her out in the middle of nowhere, this place called the Castle. And they beat her. And they, you know, use a tire iron to do horrific things. And then they set her on fire. I think like with hairspray or something. I mean, it's horrific. It's horrible. To think that those girls are out of prison, just, I don't know. Do you know, isn't capital punishment such an interesting conversation? Like, I don't really know how I feel about it, honestly. Like, I really don't. I feel like each case is case to case, and I feel like, and this is just me being in complete honesty, you know, sitting in my living room having this conversation with my girlfriends. Like, I don't know how I feel. I think if it was my family, I hope that I would be able to find forgiveness in my heart in those moments. I'm always very moved in listening to true crime books when the families of the victims are forgiving. You know, when I read that book, shoot, what was that book called? I Am God, or whatever, about the DC shooter. You know, they did this whole, oh shoot, I wish Mel was here, she'd know that the name of it. That was such a great book. I Am God, I think is what it's called. It's only on Audible, it's not, you can't read it. And I didn't know anything about that case, but they did a sentencing hearing, and then it's called like a victim sentencing. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Where like the victims and the families of the victims that have passed get to get up and read statements or share. And they were all so forgiving. They, you know, they weren't like condemning them to hell or whatever. They were like, you know, I forgive you for what you did. It was the compassion of humanity was just like in that courtroom that day. And I aim to be that in my life, but I don't know how I would feel if somebody in cold blood killed a friend or a family member of mine. I just, honest to God, don't put me in a position to make that decision, because I don't know how I would feel about it. I really don't, you know. But I will say this, and talk about taxpayer money all you want and whatever, I don't know. I mean, we're incarcerating people for failed, you know, drug screens while murderers are getting out of jail. I guess I have more of an issue with that. This got deep tonight, didn't it? You guys are like, oh, Peter's really sharing his opinions tonight. But I do. I feel like, you know, I mean, that's as a person in recovery, you know. But we got women that are, you know, I don't know why we're not using our resources with these. Okay, like in the state of Indiana, the recidivism rate for women that go back to prison is like 80%. And it's the majority of them are failed drug screens for marijuana, okay? Which means when you take those women out of their homes and you put them into prison, I'm not saying that they didn't realize what they were doing when they violated their parole. I'm not saying that, okay? But what we're doing is we're taking those women out of their homes. They no longer can be there for their kids, and then the kids are in the foster care system, okay? So we're spending money on the foster care system. We're spending money to keep these women in prison. Not to mention that when they get out of prison, yes, they have suffered consequences for their actions. Have they learned anything about substance abuse? If they truly have substance abuse issues, you know, even, you know, have they learned anything about it? Would that money be better served, you know, finding rehab options for these women and allowing them to stay at home? There was this whole program that was put into place years ago when I worked in treatment. The state of Indiana was not removing mothers from the home as long as they were willing to participate basically in drug court programs, but they weren't called drug court programs. But I have high, mad respect for drug court programs. They really do work to help people stay sober. And I'm not just talking about drug recommended treatment. I'm talking about drug court, where you have to check in once a week. You have to be drug screened randomly once or twice a week. You have to go to so many meetings in so many days. Most of those people start off in work release, and then they finally get out over a period of time. Some of them have to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, or a meeting every day for a year, you know? No, I don't believe that you can force somebody to get sober, but I think if you plant a seed, eventually down the road, when they want that seed to sprout, it will. But, you know, years ago, there was this program that was put into place, and it was, they would, basically these women could be in, it stopped. I was talking about how women and other groups of people are less likely to seek treatment for addiction. And I mean, research studies have shown that that's true. And there's a huge stigma that goes along with it, you know? There was like some movie that I watched, I can't remember what it was, but it was like, they were talking about that. It had to do with addiction. And the woman said, what was the movie? It might have been Trip to Bountiful, but that movie is so old it wasn't, and that's not about addiction. But they were talking about, like, when a man has a drinking problem, it's like, the response is kind of like he can't hold his liquor. But when a woman has a drinking problem, it's like, oh, isn't that so sad? Like, basically implying that she's just weak, right? And I think that there's this huge stigma that goes along with it, that, like, this woman can't take, you know, a man that has a drinking or drug problem, it's not like, I mean, yes, people criticize them too and whatever. I mean, we've got to stop criticizing just addicts and alcoholics in general. But, you know, I think with women in our society a lot, there's this really harsh stigma. You know, my mom was terrified for people to know that she was sober. She did not, my mom was not open about it. She just wasn't. You know, she got the last couple years, because she wasn't working in the school systems, like one of her biggest fears was that if parents of the kids that she worked with would find out that she was sober, and I was like, Mom, who cares? She was like, she said, Peter, you think that? She was like, but parents do care. She said, I could be sober for 30 years and parents would still think of me if I said, oh, I you know, am sober and I go to meetings and whatever. They would see that person from, you know, back. But there had been this program put into place where if these women were willing to be in like outpatient programs like 3 to 5 days a week, take random drug screens, they were willing to do whatever possible. They would keep them in the home with the kids, because what they had found research-wise, and this is why Indiana is such a big state on reintegration of the children into the families. Is it the word that I'm looking for? But anyway, that's not the word I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for? But anyway, it's gonna drive me crazy. They had found that even like mothers that struggled and, you know, would stay sober for a couple weeks and then like, you know, relapse and then get back on, like their kids, they and their kids had a higher chance of success than, what is the word I'm looking for? I'm gonna go over here and pull this up. They had a better chance of success than if they were put in prison. And what is the word I'm looking for? It's not. This is gonna drive me crazy. I also have that Adele song stuck in my head again today. Reunification. What reunification? That was the word I was looking for. Reunification process in foster care is when a foster child is in the process of being reunified with their parents. When a child is no, and in the state of Indiana, reintegration, the action or process of integrating someone back into society. Example, soldiers are beginning the process of reintegration into civil society. Maybe I'm thinking more about like people coming out of prison. But studies have shown that, oh my God, I just looked that up and now I can't think of what the word is. Hold on. I should just rewind the tape. Reunification. Why can't I remember that? Anyway, that was a big point of discussion in the courts here for years and years and years. I think it's an interesting conversation topic, you know, about understanding all of that. So anyway, how did I even get all the way there? Oh, I was talking about Shanda Shear and how they killed that poor girl, and then they got out of prison. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Okay, go back. Thank you, Peter, for backtracking through that. Backtracking. You know, when you want to talk about all this kind of stuff, like I don't know how I feel about capital punishment in a situation like that, but how do I feel that somebody is sitting in prison for 5 years for a failed drug screen and murderers are getting out? Keep the murderer in prison. Okay, you took somebody's life. I think you should be in prison for the rest of your life for that. That is how I feel about that. I mean, unless it is like a situation like, I don't even know how I would feel in that moment, but I guess if it was something that was like an accident or something, you know, like vehicular manslaughter, that was like an accident or something like that, you know, maybe that's a different situation. But in cold blood, to like set somebody on fire with hairspray and just beat them to death, like no. Oh God, And when you watch that, oh, this coffee is so good. This is the Santa's Kiss coffee from Barney's or whatever that I bought. This is so good. But when you watch that Dr. Phil with those girls on there, it's like one or two of the girls. The mom and the sister are like they're so upset that she's out. Look, they're like, this is ridiculous that she's out. And I agree. I totally agree with that. You know? Because they're like, you know, now I'm going to have to go and watch those later. They're like, we don't have a daughter. We don't have a sister. But you have a life and you're out, you know? You guys, I almost cannot even, I have to tell you. This was like 2 weeks ago. I think I talked about it on here. But it just haunts me. Watching. So Nancy Grace was on Dr. Oz. Apparently she's like a guest on there now sometimes. And Dr. Oz was doing true crime stuff. I didn't know that he was doing that now. But anyway, he was talking about the Casey Anthony case. That case makes me so sick to my stomach. Like, so sick to my stomach. I can't even talk about, I don't know. It breaks my heart. I was trying to think of some of the things that people asked me to talk about when I was in the Vloggerinos live stream the other night. Troy asked me, he was like, could you talk more about your grandma that went to prison? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, the problem is I just don't know a whole lot about it. You know, I really wanted to do some research into it and find out more, and I wanted Caroline and I to I really wanted to do like a documentary thing. I even talked to this guy here in town that I know that does documentary films. I talked to actually 2 people about it. One of them has one guy here in town it's the brother of a very dear friend of ours, and we had dinner with him when she came into town, and I was talking to him, and he had won, well, he was on a team that had won an Academy Award for a documentary short, and then he had won an Emmy, and he's 35 or something. Oh my God, this battery is dead already. Anyway, and he is super hubba hubba, and he's single, ladies, if you're looking for an artsy film director type. He's very beatnik looking, you know, rolled up jeans. I love this look for myself even, but rolled up jeans with you know, Oxford shoes and like a shirt buttoned up all the way with like a sport coat and like some scarf, you know, and one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life too. So anyway, but I had talked to him about the idea that night that we were at dinner, and he was like, I think that's a great idea. He was like, oh my God, that would be so interesting to do, to go back. And he was like, you know, my aunt had always wanted to write a book called The Mother of a Junior League President. And he goes, oh my God, I think that's a fantastic title, you know, to find out. And I always kind of wondered why my aunt, because she'd always say, Peter, I think we should write this book together. And she would say, because, you know, she called her mother, she didn't call her grandma. She would say, because mother, you know, like had such a rough life and she had such a hard life and all this kind of stuff. And why did I pull into this parking lot that there's like no other exit except for where I just came in? And now I'm just like in the middle of this church parking lot. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. But anyway, by the way, I was talking to my neighbor across the street today about the Criminals and Campers series by Tanya Kappas. And she goes, has she written other series? And I said, yeah, she's written 180 cozy mysteries. She goes, I think I've read a whole series of hers before. That was the highlight of my day, can I just tell you? My neighbors across the street are so sweet. And they were leaving to go take a nap. They were leaving to go they're retired. But like, I feel like they might have some family money or something. I don't really know. They're very just laid back and normal people. But I feel like there might be some money there or something, because I don't think either one of them has worked in like quite some time. And they do a lot of volunteer work here in town. But anyway, he was coming out, and so he was like, Peter! And so I started talking to him, and then she came out, and I was asking them, because like when I pull out of the driveway, I can't see it. They have like this, in front of their door, they have like you know, like my front porch, they have it, but it's like sideways, and you can't see it from the street. And so they have like a little carpet over it, and then they have like a couch and stuff up there. It's really cute. They have like a little reading nook area, but it's outside. And then they have this tree that's lit up. So I thought they had a Christmas tree out there. So I said to him, I said, do you guys have your Christmas tree up over there already? Because I thought maybe I saw it like from through the window or something. He goes, no, we're not putting up a Christmas tree this year. He was like, you know, it's just us and blah, 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 whatever. And I said, oh, okay. And he was like, but what you're seeing is this tree that she got. And so he went up there, and it says, okay, so you know, like my orange wreath that I have, she has a tree like that. I'm going to Joann Fabrics this week. She has a tree like that from Joann Fabrics. And that's like, it's like a dogwood tree, but like with orange leaves, and it's pre-lit. It is beautiful, you guys. Or maybe she said she had a dogwood tree for spring that was like that, and this one was like a fall tree. It's beautiful. So beautiful. I want one. I'm getting them for next year. So that was that, and then I stood there and I talked to them forever, and I was telling her about the cozy mysteries. But anyway, going back to what I was going back to. So, yeah, I really wanted to do that. You know, Caroline is so busy with work stuff and other stuff and her 9 million ladies, girls trips that she takes, that like for Caroline and I to go and like, we have to like plan it out for us to, I did talk to her today though, actually. Or did we just text back and forth? I can't remember. Oh no, she left me a message and we were texting back and forth. And she's like, so excited to see you next week, cousin Peter. So anyway, for us to like spend a day together, like we would have to plan that like weeks in advance. So I wouldn't have to, she would have to. And I don't even really know where we would start. And Caroline and I have talked about it, and then it just kind of like goes nowhere because I don't really know. There was somebody that reached out to me, and I emailed her back because she made a comment. So she emailed me, and she sent me, like, how to look up my grandmother's records, okay, in prison. So if you guys don't know the story I'm talking about, my grandmother went to prison. I found out after the fact my mother had passed away because I said to my dad, I said, did Mom have any secrets that I wasn't aware of? Because I had found these weird letters, okay? This is a whole other story, but this is weird too. So my mother used to say to me that she went to Hyannisport, okay, in the summers, like after college, like each summer before she would go back to college, she would go to Hyannisport And this siren is like so far away, and I don't even think they're turning. So she said that she went to the East Coast every summer. I mean, it was this whole concocted story, which my dad now is like, I don't even think she ever went there. Like, I think she made the whole thing up. Well, she said that, like, when I came out, and then later us talking just about gay culture and stuff, because she, like, loved the movie The Boys in the Band, and on and on and on. I can't believe that ambulance or whatever it is still isn't down there. Maybe it turned. But anyway, she said that she had this friend, this gay friend. My mother said she worked in the hospital in Hyannisport, which is close to, like, Cape Cod. And that she worked there, and she remembered Jackie Kennedy when she was pregnant coming through with security because they were trying to, like, she had a place there and a place in another hospital. I feel like she just made this stuff up in her head. I don't even know. It's so bizarre to me when I look back now, you know. My dad always kind of wondered if my mother, like, he said to me one time, he goes, I always wondered if your mom didn't have, like, we don't call it, he said multiple personalities. We call it DID now, dissociative identity disorder, but, he was like, I always wondered if your mom didn't have, like, alters and stuff, because, like, just sometimes, like, the things that she said just didn't make sense. I don't know. I never witnessed anything like that. I witnessed depression. I witnessed, you know, mental health issues from my mom, but I never witnessed anything like that. But it was weird. Like, I don't know, just like this whole story. So, but I do think this story was a cover-up, because I don't think she wanted to tell me that my grandma had gone to prison. And what the reality was that summer, that first summer, she and my aunt had gone to Miami, because my mom told me she had never been to Miami either. And they had spent the entire summer in South Beach. And so my mom told me, oh, I used to work with this gay guy, and when I was in Hyannisport, and when I die, I have all the letters in the basement, and I've kept them for you, and you'll find them. And, you know, and he used to just write me and say, oh, couldn't you just die without Judy Garland and all this kind of stuff. I don't even know how she came up with this stuff. But there was never a gay guy, I don't believe. There was no friend down there. I've gone through everything there is possibly to go through in the basement of letters-wise, and if she has it hidden, I don't know where it is. And I'm done looking at this point. It just is what it is. And, but I did find letters from this guy that my mom dated in Miami, and that's how I found out that she went to Miami. So that was kind of like what started me, like, looking into this stuff with my grandma. And then I asked my dad something, and then I thought maybe this guy was my dad, and my dad wasn't, which is such a joke, because my dad and I look like, I don't know why I even felt that, except for, like, the timing of, like, when this guy was writing my mom, what, like, overlapped when my mom had met my dad and started dating my dad. So it was like he was writing my mom, like, even after she had started dating my dad. So I didn't know. So I didn't know I don't know the story of that, right? And so I said something to my dad, and my dad's like, well, I know, my dad knows, like, the exact day that I was conceived. Because he said we were trying to save a marriage. And he goes, our favorite place was Bloomington, Indiana, you know, because that's where we had met at IU. And he said we went down there and we stayed, and he goes, that was the weekend that you were conceived. And he goes, and I know that for a fact. He goes, because, you know, as a doctor, I counted back days, and not to mention my dad and I, like, we look identical. So, and he was very hurt when I said that too. My dad was like, I don't know why you would even think that. But I was just kind of looking for answers, and he understood that, you know. But, I think he kind of made a joke of it. He was like, I mean, other than the fact that we look identical, he was like, I also know the exact moment that you were conceived, so, which I think is kind of funny, honestly. But I do kind of like the idea that, do you know what, it's kind of a funny story. You know, like, the more I vlog, and something that's happened recently to me, like, I don't really care. Like, there's things I've told, and there's things that I kind of, like, keep dear to my heart, and I'm kind of at the point now where I just feel like, you know what, life is short, share it all. But one of the things that I found out after my mom passed away, so I asked my dad, I said, did mom have any secrets? And he goes, no, not really. He goes, well, just one thing. And he goes, that your grandma had gone to prison. And I said, for what? And he was like, embezzlement. But she and your Aunt Kathy never wanted you and Caroline to know because they didn't want you guys to think of your grandma differently because we were so close to our grandma. So that's how that came up. But the other thing that I found out through my dad, but really in reading my mom's journals at the time, it was very apparent to me. I guess I have talked about this a little bit on here. Why is Union Jack's across the street? I'm so confused. Did they move? So Union Jack's is like this bar, but they have like the best pizza in the entire world. It used to be over here, and now it's like over there. Did they move? Oh my God, they sure did. Oh my God, for years, you guys, Union Jack's was right here. I mean, for years. You can see it's a red and green door. It's like this red and blue green door is like super famous. And now look, it's across the street. Isn't that the weirdest thing? Anyway, this is where my mom went to high school. This is Broad Ripple High School area. Right here, which is now Scotty's Bar, or Brothers Bar. This used to be the trophy shop. It was an actual trophy shop where you could buy trophies and stuff like that. And Peach's Records was right over here, and or right over back here. That was Peach Crates and stuff like that. And this is where my mom would walk around when she was a kid. She like grew up in this neighborhood and stuff like that. This was the library over here. That's now Co-Video. That was the library that I used to go to when I was a little kid. But anyway, one of the things I found out from my dad and also reading my mom's journals was that it was my dad, not my mom, that wanted kids. My dad really wanted a child, and my mom was super indifferent to it. She just like could care less, which is so interesting because and I'm not just saying this because she was my mom, but it's just the truth. The one thing in my mom's life that she took any pride in whatsoever was being a mother. Like, that was the one thing that she was super proud of. And she was a mother bear. I mean, she was a mother bear. And I think, like, I don't know, I think having me changed her, probably for the better, I hope. But you know, like, my dad was like, he was, I don't know. And that was kind of hard for me, I guess, because I always felt like it was kind of like me and my dad, like, you know, we've always been super close, but, like, I mean, he has my stepmom and he has this. And so when I found out, I mean, I didn't find that out till after my mom died, thank God, you know, because I would have asked my mom a lot of these questions. I think, you know, I think, like, I don't know, I just think that my mom never really wanted to be tied down. I think my mom, you know, her dreams were always to live in New York City and go to Elaine's on Thursday night and listen to jazz music, or live on a houseboat in New York, or in San Francisco Harbor and be a trial attorney, or live in Los Angeles and work on, she wanted to work for costume departments like Edith Head, you know, for Universal. It's just, she always had these outlandish, like, I guess they're not outlandish, but she had these dreams, but, like, they never really fit, like, family or kids, you know what I mean? Like, that was never her dream. Which I think is why my mom became so kind of bitter towards suburban life a little bit, where she was like, I mean, I can remember, like, driving down the street, and she'd be like, have to turn the music down, don't want to offend anybody. She'd be so pissed of having to, like, turn her music down, you know? And, I don't know, I think my mom was just really misunderstood. I don't think she ever wanted kids. I don't think she probably should have ever gotten married. I mean, I'm glad that she did, or I wouldn't be here, right? But, like, I just don't think, like, my mom's life, like, that was the direction that I think she would have been. She lost her independence in that. You know, my mom was somebody that was terrified to drive at night. She was terrified to drive on highways and anything like that. I mean, even, like, just like a major, like, I think of, like, if you live in Indianapolis, you'll know what I'm talking about, like Keystone and Allison. But my mother would not drive on those roads. She considered it, like, Keystone, she considered like a highway. I'm like, whatever, Mom. But anyway, I didn't get it at the time, you know. And what happened was she became so dependent on people over time. You know, when my mom was in college, she used to tell me, she'd say, I was the girl that, like, you know, on a Thursday night would be like, come on, girls, let's go drive to Miami of Ohio and see the cute boys from Bloomington, you know. And she's like, and I'm the one that drove down there in the car. car. She was like, I wasn't afraid to drive on interstates and, you know, windows down, standing up in a convertible. You know, like, that's who my mom was. And then I think she got married and she became dependent on my dad. And she became dependent on being this suburban housewife. And it changed her. And I don't think that she liked that it changed her. I think my mom always lived also by feeling like people had expectations of her and that she was forever failing people because she wasn't meeting their expectations. That was a big part of my mom's life, whether that was in a church or whether that was in a neighborhood or whether that was in her own family or other wives or other mothers or whatever, you know. And I think that part of it for my mom was like, she believed very much like, you know, my mom was very concerned, like, she was a very fashionable dresser, but there was a period where she was like very concerned with how people perceived her, and she really let go of that later in life. My mom only really, I think, came into her own once she got sober, and I would say the last 5 or 6 years of her life, when she just really didn't care anymore what people thought. And not like, F you, I don't care, but like, I don't, like, judge me if you're gonna judge me, I don't care, I'm gonna be my own person, you know. I think it was liberating for my mom. I think it was freeing for my mom. I think for the first time in her life, she was able to be who she wanted to be, which I'm so thankful that that happened, you know. And like, this is the thing. It's like, I'm not mad at the fact that my mom didn't want to have kids. I mean, my mom, you know, she did the best that she could, and I don't think that, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe some of her drinking was because she was resentful. She was a parent that got stuck at home, you know. Maybe she was, I don't know. I mean, she would say to me sometimes, like, I'm so mad that I have to be the parent that, like, makes you do your homework while your dad gets to be the fun parent on the weekend. She would say that kind of stuff to me, but I don't really feel like she was resentful about the parent stuff. I think to some degree, like, I think my mom, honestly, kind of hid behind the premise of being a parent. Like, I really do. Like, I think sometimes, like, instead of her having to date or go out there and, like, especially when I was, like, in more, like, junior high and high school, because when I was younger than that, she did date, she did go out a lot with her girlfriends and stuff like that. But as I got older, I think one of the things for her was that, you know, she could say, well, I'm a mom, I need to stay home with Peter, and so she wouldn't go out with her girlfriends or go out on a date or whatever. And I think the reality was she just didn't really want to. I think she wanted to sit at home and read. And by the way, there's the library that I went to growing up in elementary school, Nora Library right here. But I think that, I should have shown you guys, but I didn't. I think, and also the place next to it is where I used to go to cotillion, where I learned how to dance. Ouch! That hurt. I think she didn't want to do those things. I think she really wanted to put on her pajamas and her robe and watch a movie, and I think she felt very safe in that. And so I think, you know, she used being a mom as kind of an excuse to not have to, like, do anything social. What did I do to my thumb? It hurts. Because the reality is, my mom was not the person, I don't know, maybe in her younger years, but she was not the person that was going to move to New York City or San Francisco Harbor or, you know, none of those things. I don't even know where she came up with those ideas. I mean, I think they're all exciting ideas, and you should go after your dreams, right? But, like, I just don't see her being the person that was going to do that. I don't know. I think that was part of it for my mom, too, was that she looked back on her life, I think, with a lot of, you know, my mom said to me at the end of her life, she said, when you look back on your life, it's not the things you did that you regret, it's the things you never tried. And I think that those are the things that she really struggled with, was there were so many things that she wanted to do in her life that she never did. And I think that those were the things that she really regretted, you know, that, man, I never did live this life that I wanted, you know. I mean, she was an armchair traveler to some degree. But as far as, like, my grandma, all I know is that my grandma went to prison. I do have the dates of when she went to prison now. I don't know them off the top of my head. I just spilled this all over my leg. Oh. But two different articles. I found an article online, and then a friend of ours, I think it was last Thanksgiving actually, the husband of a friend of ours who does like research like this, he found an article on it. A woman out there, I don't want to say her name, but she sent me, after talking about it in a vlog one day, she sent me information about my grandma. The one thing that was interesting about it, though, the comment that she made, and she also sent me instructions on how to, like, buy the court records and stuff like that. I still don't understand how to do that. The link that she gave me does not work. And then she said in there, she said something to the effect of, in the email, I still have the email, and she said something to the effect of, talking about my grandma, she said, I was a little surprised by how many times she had been married, go grandma. And I was like, my grandma was married twice. She was married to my mom's dad and my aunt's dad, and she was my mom and aunt's dad, and then she was married to my mom's stepdad. That was twice that she was married. So I don't know what she was talking about. And I emailed her back. I think I emailed her back twice. And I was like, because she never responded to the first one. And then I was like, is this just somebody fake? Is this just somebody out there that's being fake about it? I was like, where did you find information that my grandmother was married, had been married more than once? And she never responded. So I don't know what that's about. I would be more interested in something like that than, I feel like at this point, anything to do with the prison stuff, like I'm not going to really know a lot about, you know? But it looks like my grandma was in prison for about 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and that she got out and she was on parole for a year. That's what it looks like. And that she stole thousands of dollars over a period of time. For this business that she was working for. What's interesting to me about that, this is kind of the funny things, right? Is that my mom back in the day, she always wanted me to take typing. She always, and I'm like a super fast typer to this day. It's just, I don't know, it's just a gene that I got or something. But she was like, you know, if you can have basic skills like bookkeeping, like my mom would say numbers is what she would say. Like, and I'm horrible at math, and so is my mom. But she'd say, if you can do basic things like typing and numbers, you'll always have a job, because grandma has always had a job as a bookkeeper. My grandmother's job was that she was a bookkeeper, okay? And by bookkeeper, I don't even know what we call them today. But that was a person that did like the accounts and stuff. So, I mean, she was in a perfect position to steal money from a company, right? Because she just, like, when she was doing deposits and whatever, she just takes so much out of it and whatever. And, you know, my dad said to me when we talked about it at the time, he goes, you know, I think your grandma was a single mom that was trying to do the best that she could do. You know, her husband had died and whatnot. Okay, so, all right. That's what I knew at the time. So then recently, when I found out the dates, because I Google searched it myself, even though it's so weird with Google. Like, you can Google something, Google something, Google something, Google something, and then one day something different will pop up. And this article popped up about my grandma going to prison. When I found out the years that she had gone to prison, what I don't know is that there is no way that my dad could have met my grandma before she showed up to their wedding, okay? And I said to him, did you meet grandma? I think my dad is just really, still to this day, protective of all of this. I told my dad one day, I said, hey, listen, if there are things that you're keeping from me because you just don't think I need to know it until later or whatever, I said, can you just type it out, and then when you're gone one day, at least I'll know. He just kind of laughed at me. He was like, I'm not keeping anything from you. I just really don't remember, honestly. But he's like, Peter, he was like, this, you always watch too many of those detective shows. But, no, because, like I said to my dad, I was like, when I saw the dates, because I thought it was, like, when my mom was in high school, or I thought it was when my mom was, like, well, Caroline and I first thought it was when they were very young, okay? Well, no. But when it happened, my grandma was married. She was married to my mom's stepdad. So it wasn't because she was this poor single mom taking care of these girls. That was not the story at all. Unless my grandma went to prison twice. And Caroline's cousin on her other side, she thinks that her grandma went to prison twice. But she doesn't remember how she knows that story. And so now everybody's gone, right? So there's not really anybody to ask except for my dad. He's the only one. And he either doesn't want to say or he doesn't remember. I really, truly, I mean, my dad's not a person that, like, forgets stuff easily, but I just think that's also something that he wouldn't have been like real focused in on. He loved my grandma, period. You know, I mean, he really loved my grandma, and I don't know, maybe he's trying to protect at any cost further than what I think of it or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe there's more that he doesn't want me to find out about. I don't know, you know. I do think it's interesting that they kept it a secret all these years, that we literally did not find out until I was 35 years old that my grandma had gone to prison. It's just like baffling to me. But I will tell you what is also more baffling to me is that my grandmother was a bookkeeper until she retired. And I'm like, how did you go to prison for embezzling money once or twice? I don't know. Thousands of, I mean, it was like a huge amount of money, right? That you embezzled this money, and then you get out of prison and you're a bookkeeper again? Like, who's hiring you? I don't know. It's crazy to me. See, this is why I want to know all the facts. This is more interesting than that Louisville true crime story. I'm telling you the truth. I don't know. It's just so crazy to me, too. Like, when I was watching Wentworth this season, I was just thinking of my grandma, like, my grandma was a rough woman. Like, she was really soft to Caroline and I, and she loved my mom and my aunt. But my grandma, like, went every Monday and got, like, I mean, she was tough. She was a tough woman. She got, like, a roller set, and, I mean, she'd say, every Monday, grandma goes to the beauty shop, and she'd get her nails done. And my grandma had perfect nails. I mean, they were, like, dagger red, perfect nails, and roller set. My grandma's hair turned white, supposedly, the day that my grandpa died, that my mom's dad died. And she was real young when that happened. And, and then my grandma always, like, I can only remember a few occasions when she wore a dress, like maybe 2 or 3. And it was always like a silk wrap dress. My grandma was very short. She was like, my mom would say she was 5 foot all her life, but when she died, she was 4'10" because she drank her milk and she had osteoporosis. My mom believed that. I don't know what that's about. But she was 4'10". She was very short. She drank the little Cokes in the bottles or in cans and coffee non-stop. And she smoked Salem Lights. Loved Salem Lights. I mean, I don't really remember my grandma without having a cigarette in her hand. And she always had black labs. And she had this black lab named Misty that she loved. And she had an 8x10 of Misty's head in her living room. No lie, framed in her living room. And my mom, when she was growing up, she'd say, like, my mom hated her stepdad. And she would say it was so embarrassing because she would bring, like, her girlfriends over. Now, my grandma, for describing her this way, had impeccable taste. Like, my mom, if I showed you guys some of the stuff that I have in my basement, I know you would love that, but, like, I have these pearl embossed cigarette cases. I mean, it's kind of weird to me in retrospect to think these were gifts she gave a girl in high school, but they were, you know. My mom at, like, 16, she had this pearl embossed, like, cigarette case, okay, that has, like, a lighter built into it. It's very, like, Grace Kelly. You guys, they're incredible. And my mom, like, my grandma bought my mom and my aunt, like, everything clothes-wise that they wanted. When my aunt went to IU for the her first semester, they literally thought that my aunt was, like, some rich girl from, like, upstate New York or something like that. Like, they had, well, first of all, my aunt and my mom looked very different. My mom was, like, bleach blonde, and my aunt was, like, dark hair. So they thought that my aunt was, like, super rich because she had her own car. It was like a Impala convertible. She had all these clothes. My mom had her own car. My mom had all these beautiful sweater sets and all this kind of stuff. And my aunt, or my grandma, was taking the bus every day. My aunt felt so horrible about that. My mom felt so horrible about that later in life. You know, here it was, we had all this stuff. And I kind of wonder if it wasn't, like, guilt trip kind of stuff in retrospect, you know? I don't know. But my mom would say she was so embarrassed to bring friends over to the house because she hated her stepdad. And I do remember him. His name was Norman. And Caroline doesn't like to talk about him. Caroline has bad memories of him, you know. Like, she said she said she was scared of him, is what she says. But my mom said he would keep a catfish in the fish tank in the living room and a crow in a cage in the kitchen. And she was like, my friends would come over and he would just sit there in the living room. She was going on a date, my mom would say. You know, this guy would come over to take me on a date, and there he would just be, and he'd be like, you fish? My mom was like, I hated him. She was like, it wasn't like she just like, it was like, I hated him. I don't know, there's just so much that I don't know, you know, like, I don't know, I probably never will at this point, but it would be interesting. I would love to find out more. And it was interesting because I was watching The Real Housewives of Salt Lake. This just kind of occurred to me right now, actually, but I was watching The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City the other day, and Meredith was talking about hiring a private investigator. You know, I guess I could hire a private investigator to do research on my grandma and my mom and things I didn't know and whatever, you know. I think it would have to be some kind of like cyber investigator at this point, because so much of the information that's out there is online or like in databases. I mean, so I would have to like look it up that way. Is it about to stop again? Have I really talked for like an hour and 10 minutes already? Something like that? Oh, I guess I have. It's gonna stop. Hold on a second. Should I wait it out? 2, 4, 3, 2. I didn't know I had vlogged this long. It is almost 5 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, I'm gonna get off here now, and I'm gonna listen to a little bit of my audiobook. I think we know I won't be finishing it today. I still have 2 hours left. I'm like, I just have 2 hours left, just finish it. I will not be going right into the Liam O'Yeardy book. I cannot go into like an 18-hour book. I need to listen to a cozy mystery first. And I'm actually gonna look at the other Tanya Kappas cozy mysteries, because I wanna see if there are other series that I might wanna read in there. But anyway, all right, thank you all for listening tonight. This was fun. And now I'm wide awake and I won't want to go back to bed. So, if nobody else, oh, I didn't get to tell you guys this. On Tuesday night, my friend that says that to me, that says, if nobody else told you this, I love you. I walked into my home group. She doesn't come to my home group. And I walked in and I saw her and she turned around and she goes, oh my God. She was so happy to see me. I had not seen her, it seems like forever. And it was so fantastic seeing her. So anyway, I was thinking of all of you guys because we had just done the Vloggerino thing on Monday night, and I should have signed off the Vloggerinos live stream with how I do my outro. But anyway, I got to see her on Tuesday. It just totally made my week. So if nobody, in honor of her, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And she always says to me too, she goes, I freaking love you, Peter Monn. She always says that to me. I love her so much. But anyway, I freaking love all of you out there. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And thanks for listening. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya! Oh, and for those that want to hear it, and those that need to hear it, and those that just stuck around, one more, I love you! I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!